Hi, Support Fibro friends. I am thrilled to have our very special guest with us, Michelle from the Invisible Me Warriors organization. Welcome, Michelle, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to connect. How you been?
We've been doing a lot of awareness, but I'm so glad we got to connect face to face because I was bummed out. We were supposed to meet up in March in DC. Yeah. You were headed there for an Arthritis Foundation event, right?
Yes, we had our Advocacy Summit for all the Platinum Ambassadors that were going up to DC. And unfortunately, the foundation made the decision that since most of our advocates are autoimmune compromised, to cancel, just to keep everybody safe. But like, I was so bummed that I wasn't going to be able to see you and go out to dinner and connect. And all the people that I work with, it was a bit devastating, but I'm glad that we did it and made the decision to stay safe.
Of course, it was stressful. As a person, I was already there, and it was a lot of stress. So I'm glad people didn't have to go through that, because trying to get home too, as they started to shut down Virginia and Maryland while we were all there, yeah, it was nerve-wracking. But I was bummed. And then you're in Florida, all the way across the country as well. So yeah. I'm in California. You couldn't have been farther away.
I was just like, oh man, this was like our meeting point. We could do this. And then I was just like, it was even an argument with my family because I was still considering going. I'm not gonna lie. I was a speaker for the Advocacy Summit, so I was like, I'll go. I'll still go. And my parents were like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I was like, I'll get stuck. I don't care. But it was just, I came to my senses.
Well, I'm glad you didn't talk to us because we had rooms available. So we would have been like, sure, come and join us.
Yeah, but it was just, I felt like, we've been building up for it all year and working towards it. And then for it to be stripped like that because of something like this, which I think that's what hit most of us the most. It's like we've been looking forward to seeing some of us that, we talk the way we are talking right now with you. And it got to a point where I was just like, I was looking forward to that and a little like mopey about it. But then everything started to hit and it got a bit overwhelming, even for school, and not knowing if I was going to be able to come back on time, if we had gone there. It was a right decision, but I missed having you around.
I know. Well, let's get started and introduce you to our Support Fibro friends and let them get to know you better. Can you share a little bit about your health journey and then the inspiration behind starting the Invisible Me Warriors organization?
My health journey was kind of a little bit weird. I'm not going to say it was the easiest journey. Unknowingly, I've been battling with autoimmune conditions since I was like about 8 years old. And chronic illness, as you know, is like not very easy to diagnose, and growing up with it, and not a lot of people attribute it to arthritis or any autoimmune conditions. And they were telling my mom it was like growing pains. Oh, she'll get over it in a couple of years. And fast forward to college, when all the stress started to happen, you're staying up all night, you have finals, midterms, you become a bit of an insomniac. And all of a sudden at 18, I started to have these seizures and like these severe migraines. And I would have a seizure and lose hours of sleep, sometimes lose days, or completely have what they have, staring seizures in class. And it was just a bit overwhelming. And then nobody knew exactly what was going on. I was diagnosed with a form of epilepsy, and the medication had more side effects than what I was going through. And fast forward till I was 24. And all of a sudden I'm in an ER at Cleveland Clinic, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. And no one had cared to look further down than just the head. Everybody had just kept doing MRIs of the head, CAT scans. Nobody cared to look just a little bit further down. And my oncologist kind of said like, oh, it's an system of overwhelmness. You're stage 4. Sometimes your body reacts a little bit different. I went through cancer 3 times and finally defeated it, but I walked out of one thing to jump into something else. And it was my autoimmune system that just completely crashed. So all these underlying conditions that I have had that since I was 8 years old just took over. You started to see the fusion of bones, the seizures started to come back full-heartedly. The pain was like a scale of 12 on an everyday basis. And then I found myself taking ibuprofen like it was Skittles. I was living off it and bottles of it. And then finally, when I was around 30 years old, I could barely move. I had to struggle to get to work. It was to take a shower was just a job of itself. And it really caught up to me. In 2017, I had a stroke. And I had like a stroke, a panic attack, and a seizure all in one. And to recover from that was really hard. I came out of it and I had lost my job. I lost my car. I lost my home. The illness pretty much took everything. And I have to be very thankful that my mom stopped her life and was just like, what do you mean you lost your house? What do you mean you lost your car? Well, let's start rebuilding. And I had to go into the healthcare system, the state healthcare system. And it was a little bit overwhelming, but people were willing to help. There was just no resources out there. There was nothing to turn to. Everybody kept saying, well, I can send you here, but they only take this. And it was just like so many different hurdles. And then finally, I got into the healthcare department and sat down with a Cuban doctor here. Shout out to my PCP, Dr. Alfonso. And he was just like, I don't think this is normal for you to have after cancer. This is something else going on. I'm going to start sending you to some specialists. And he was like, I think you have a trek of autoimmune conditions that have been so underdiagnosed. And then finally, 2 years later, to be found 7 chronic illnesses, you're pretty much unable to move. Things have advanced so hard because nobody listened to you that now at 32 years old, you're disabled. I could barely hold my head up at that point. It was a lot going on and still no answers. So what I did was sit at Barnes and Noble's, stacks and stacks and stacks of books, autoimmune diet, keto, this, what is an autoimmune condition? And then in those books, somehow, some way, 2 books were in there. A nonprofit book that somehow landed in my table, and a book by Alana Jacqueline, which is also a chronic illness survivor. And the anger and frustration, the jokes, the ironies, the sarcasm that she had in her book, and then this nonprofit next to it was kind of like a little bell went off. And I was just like, I can do this. I can bring something to this community that I myself need. I can only imagine how other people are doing. And then it started off with blog. It started off with social media. It started off posting my diet. It started off posting my pain, posting about like all the stuff that I was going through in life. And then it started to convert into this nonprofit organization. It started to convert into a support group, Coffee with a Spoonie. Literally, we started off with 2 people. I had one of my other warriors come meet me for coffee at one of our local places, Subculture Coffee. And it went from 2 people to now fast forward 2 years to now minimum of 20 members at a meeting. We have speakers, we have all this stuff. We have the community, we have Coffee with a Spoonie. We have soon, hopefully we go back to normal, Pizza with a Spoonie. And it's like in a shut and open of an eye, we have built a community for this county that people from Broward County, which is just a little further south from us, Miami-Dade, North Store, Orlando, are starting to say like, hey, how can we get involved? Oh, you're a little too far. How? And then COVID happened and then we all went virtual. So now all these people from like different states, different counties are starting to get involved with us. And it's like the fact that we're doing this for the community, the fact that we're building this is what's pushing me to move forward. And I'm so proud of my warriors from where they have come to now and how all of them want to jump in, help out. And honestly, Melissa, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without them, without my mom, without them. I'm getting emotional. So it's been a very hard ride, but I'm very thankful for it.
I'm so appreciative of you sharing this with all of us. I'm inspired. I'm going to be learning so much from you. Thank you so much, because that perseverance to keep going and then you like putting this organization together and really continuing forward and putting that positive foot forward with advocacy and helping others is incredible. I mean, thank you so much. And I know a lot of people out there are going to connect with you. And we need to join your virtual support group while we can right now.
And well, actually, we have come together with the board that we're not leaving it. We're staying with it. So if we have to do in-person and virtual at the same time and kind of mesh it, kind of like universities are doing, we're going to do it. We're going to try, because we know that not everybody can be there. Not everybody feels up to being in an in-person support group. Sometimes you're battling middle of a flare and you still need that support. So we're going to continue the platform somehow and just work through it. And it might not be easy, but we're definitely going to do it.
I'm glad. And we talked about like patient direct services and what you provide and patient centered. So it's definitely like, what have you seen from running the support group? And do you have advice for others?
Yes. It's not easy. Every warrior that I call the participants of our group warriors, and I see them as such because every day is not taken for granted. Every day when a warrior goes through this, it's different for every single one. None of us are going through the same situation. None of us are beginning exactly in the same thing. And when everybody walks through that door or walks through that portal, it's what they're looking for is a sense of validation, a sense of acceptance. And the community that we're growing now has accepted, like, not everybody knows what's going on. Not everybody has the same symptoms. Not everybody has everything straight or okay. And sometimes not even a house over your head to live in. But in this group, you're understood, you're appreciated, you're taken into consideration, you're good, you're bad, and what we call the dirty. Everything is just there. And we have done from just hearing the warrior out. You don't always have to have an answer. You don't always have to be able to help, but just having that person be able to just be comfortable enough to tell you what's going on, I think lifts all that burden that they've been holding on to and takes that away. And being able to maybe face the next day and be okay with what's going on for just a couple more days and be able to talk to somebody that understands where you're coming from. Because some of us don't even have the support in our families. Or their significant other may not understand, or it's hard for them to accept what's going on. And they feel like they want to help, but when they try to help, it's starting to hinder or be disrespectful. And when they come to the group, everybody is like shaking their head or going, yes, I understand you. So it's just a sense of acceptance and just coming together. We want to change, for once that we see a change, and that our warrior, once they start opening up and coming, it's a drastic change. They feel a sense of hope. The awareness in our mission is what makes this so much key. There's 160 plus different chronic illnesses, and yet barely doctors have ever heard of maybe one or two. Mm-hmm. They take a semester in college where after that, they don't hear it again. And then unless it affects them personally or a family member or they see it, they don't even know the symptoms. So when you come to them, you're automatically put on depression medication or told to lose weight, and that's the only thing that they stop at. And you don't feel like you've been acknowledged. And we see warriors from all walks of life. We have some things in common, some things we don't, but we want the people to understand. We want us to understand their journey. And my advice to all of them is never stay quiet. At the beginning, it's not easy. I can tell you, like, telling your story and opening up and digging into those little crevices of like all the stuff that people have told you or not told you or held back is really hard. But the fact that my advice is your story needs to be heard. And you never know who your story can inspire, your voice, your journey, your pain. It matters. A cup of coffee with a fellow warrior can start a revolution. It's not something that is easy to say or share, but unfortunately, hugs are not going to be a good thing after this. But a hug from someone that has heard your story and go, I feel you, I get you, I understand you, is so rewarding. It's like, finally, I am able to come clean. I'm able to see things the way they are. And that, I think that's what I pride ourselves the most, and that's what we do. And, you know, we have warriors that step in that don't speak at all for 3 or 4 meetings. And it's okay. Sometimes you're just not comfortable. And then that 4th meeting or that 5th meeting comes around, and it's like, I see the change. And the voice comes out, and it's like that powerful, like that warrior within is like, I'm ready. I'm done. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to take this on. Let's do it. And it that's what pushes me to move forward with this organization. You know, try to find all the resource that is going on, not just this county, but like other counties. We have people in Michigan, we have people in Chicago, we have people in California, like all these people like trying to come together, and we're uniting with other nonprofits to make sure that they feel supportive. If I can't help, I'll find someone to help you, or at least to guide you for the next person that can. That's my mission. And I may not have the funding or the money to help you, but I know that I can find someone that can. And that's what drives everything going on.
And finding those resources are so important. And you're providing people with a safe space where they can talk about what's going on with them and meet other people that understand. I am blown away, and I know everyone is just inspired. I appreciate you sharing again with us, and we need to hear more from you. I'm going to keep nudging you to do more of these live on your Facebook page and Instagram, and we transfer and do an Instagram live with you too.
Yeah, I have to say that I get candid and I get emotional, and it's one of the reasons why I kind of stay away from live things. Like, I try to plan it as best as possible, and I open up during support groups. But when I start to shake when I talk, or I start to get very emotional, because all this drive is within me, and it's like, I can do this, but then the words start to mesh, and it's like, okay, maybe I pressed that live button a little too quick. But something that Looms for Lupus said, like, once you start getting in front of that camera every day, it starts getting easier. And I have to say that, not camera wise, but being able to talk to other people regarding what's going on and regarding what an invisible illness is, or wearing a t-shirt like I'm wearing now, or a button, and somebody asks me, what is that? What do you mean by that? And then being able to talk and say, hey, this is what's going on. This exists. Oh, wow, I never knew that. For one more person to know, that person's going to tell other people. If it ever appears, that person's going to tell 10 more. And it still keeps going, like the domino effect. So one person can make a difference. And that's what I want my warriors to leave the meeting with. It's like being able to be like, okay, I'm okay with talking now. And it's a challenge for me too. It is still a challenge. It was, when I started advocating, it was a challenge. Shout out to Stacy Penner out there from the Arthritis Foundation, who literally sat with me and like talked to me about my story when we were doing advocacy, and got my story from being 3-4 paragraphs long to being concise enough, like a telegram, to be able to not get emotional but still get the message across. And that changed my life. And all that pent up energy is coming across in like all these stuff that we do, from support groups to coffees to board meetings to just sitting like what I'm doing with you one-on-one, and just talking with someone and telling them like, everything is going to be okay. It may not be okay now, but let's work forward to it. And my main mission is to make sure that people's invisible illnesses are no longer invisible. Like, it's a shield that we put up. It's something like Wonder Woman has that shield that she blocks herself. But now that shield can say something. It can actually mean something instead of hiding behind it.
And with all of this too, it's like, I know some of us don't feel comfortable in the camera, but we encourage people, and it is much easier to share in person. So I'm definitely learning from people like Estella, who get on the camera and just like snap it together, ready to go.
Yeah, and I'm like, camera ready, like all this makeup. I'm like, give me a minute, I'll be right back. But
I think it's important for us to share, because our journey started when we were younger, and just, I don't think that sometimes it's extremely lonely and just different when you start off, you know, and just trying to find resources and being discounted when you're at a younger age, and people and jumping around like you had mentioned with the, like a ping pong of bouncing you around from doctor to doctor trying to tell you, and you just want to live a life, you want to go out with friends and go to school and have fun.
Yeah, well, I had to say that when I started going through this like full-heartedly and everything crashed, I had a support system and community more online than I did in person. Like, friends were not really understanding, and because you can't go out with them because of everything, the calls started to get little and like almost none. And then you have this community on Facebook or this community on Instagram that it's like, oh my God, I understand you. I full-heartedly get you. And it felt like I had a stronger community virtually than I did in person. And it was, I have to say, like, it's awareness. People think that fatigue, for example, or fibromyalgia is, even doctors are like, they diagnose you with that because they have no other way of diagnosing you with anything else. They have lost all answers and they have no idea of what umbrella to put you under. What I like the most is when a doctor can say, I don't know, but I'll make it my mission to find out. I don't know what's going on. And I prefer that blatant honesty of just saying, I don't know, than telling me, you're depressed, go take some meds. You're overweight, go lose some weight. Or you have had cancer. It's probably you just being a hypochondriac, which I got for 4 years. And it was just like, no, this pain is really not a hypochondriac pain. It's more like I can't move. I can't do anything that I enjoy doing. This needs to stop. I need to be a human being. And it was really hard to be told, I don't want to hear it. I don't understand what you're going through. So let me not talk to you anymore. Let me not be around you anymore. Oh, you can't go out? Oh, you don't have the money? I'm not calling you anymore. And that's what it started to get real. It was like, oh, I'm different. How different?
But now you're with us and we're all different. So
exactly.
We found each other through the internet, and now that's why we build these amazing communities together. And if we can work together and support each other, especially as community leaders, and learn from each other and advocates, I'm just impressed by your journey too with advocacy and going to Washington, D.C. and what you've learned. So has it helped with all, like, not only communicating to our representatives, but helped with doctors and like family members and all of that?
I saw a 180. IMW had been going strong already for about 6 to 7 months. We were expanding, but there was this quiet person that you see in front of here that was very quiet at that time, very hidden, very not outspoken whatsoever. The person you see now, you're just like, I don't know you. So I would say IMW behind the scenes was growing, but I as a person wasn't. So when I started to advocate and started to get involved with Warriors' lives, calling insurances, medications, job recommendations, filling out applications, resources, I started to build my voice behind it without really knowing. Advocacy became my main priority, and it never rests in our organization, from little things to big things. We do our best to put a warrior in touch with somebody that can help. Our mission is to work with as many nonprofits in our area as possible, because I consider it, we are a team. We're not an individual organization. We're not here to compete with each other. We are a team to help the community. And that's how it should be. And personally, I am an advocate with the Arthritis Foundation here in Florida. And I found them from walking by a building in downtown West Palm without even knowing that it was the West Palm Beach Foundation building. Oh, and wow. We saw a logo on the wall and we're just like, what's this? Where did this come from? Walked in, and that brought me down the road of working with them, now as a platinum ambassador, I have gone to DC with fellow advocates to make our asks. I have done have gone in close to amazing people and friendships and relationships to further our goal. We did a bunch of stuff for step therapy the last coming around. We have done for funding. And I have to say that joining the advocacy team of the Arthritis Foundation was life-changing, not only for me, not only for the Arthritis Foundation, but for IMW. I became thankful for the awesome advocates who kept motivating and cultivating the voice. And I have developed in so many areas, and become kind of fearless. And it developed IMW in a different level. We're growing a millimeter a day. I say a millimeter because every little step that we take, it's still little, and we're still in one county, one place. And our goal is to make sure that everything that we do means something to not just the warriors here, but to our community. So if I can't support a warrior in California, I'm going to phone Melissa and be like, Melissa, can you take over for me? Or I'm going to phone the Mata sisters and be like, hey, I have a lupus warrior. Can you kind of help me out with this? Because I don't have lupus and I don't want to overstep anybody's boundaries. Can you inform me and educate me? And, cystic fibrosis is this month too. I had somebody approach me for cystic fibrosis. I learned so much more just from talking to that warrior and going down the loophole of research just by helping them. So now their invisible illness is not invisible to me either. So internally, I've become an advocate for so many people just from being aware of what's going on. So that's why with advocacy, I'd say that A for advocacy, A for awareness. And it doesn't take a lot to just grab like a Facebook post or go on somebody's website and be like, what is this? How can I help this community? And you don't have to be a warrior. You don't have to be disabled. You don't have to be in the position to be an advocate. You just have to be aware of what's going on.
When I love the community working together aspect and not competing with each other, we're community leaders supporting each other, and it's about the community we're actually supporting, and this mentorship. And let me just say that picture. So I want to ask you about that picture you took, because I can't beat myself out. I can't bleep. But you look like a badass, and you are a badass when it comes to all this stuff. It is so cool. But I saw that picture.
Actually, the Arthritis Foundation got reached out to by this foundation called Bowl Beauty Project. And I will say to any warrior that's watching this, go check them out. I was very shy about my illness at the beginning. I'm very self-conscious. I use a cane. I use a walker. I use the buggy at the supermarket. And we make little noises when we use it, go beep, beep, like all around. I try to embrace the accommodations that I need. And some of my friends have crutches. Some of my friends have wheelchairs. So I want to make sure that they feel comfortable in those accommodations as much as I do. And I didn't. It felt weird. It felt like the looks, the stares, the says, like, isn't she too young? Right. Why is she on there? Okay, so when Bowl Beauty came around and they said, we want to take a picture, these are the examples of the pictures that we want to take, I was mind blown and actually kind of intimidated, because there are these people that are literally bearing their souls, like bearing and showing every little nitty gritty detail of their beauty, and they're disabled, some invisible, some not, and they're embracing it. And kind of like I call it becoming the warrior within and being like, I got this. I look like this and I'm proud to look like this. And it got to me and I was like, I want to do this. Maybe not. Maybe I do. Maybe not. And as the steps got closer to do the photo shoot, I got in touch with Michelle Aldas, who's an amazing photographer through Bowl Beauty. And they, him and Eva Ritvo sat with me, who works for the foundation, and talked to me about what they wanted to see in the picture, who they wanted to see in the picture. They knew my story, but now it's like, I need to show this person behind and show it. And we started to look at locations, and I picked a mural that embeds in a way everything who I am. There is this mural by Cobra, an artist who does a bunch of stuff in New York. He has one here in Subculture Coffee. It's Einstein, and it says E equals MC equal U, and all this colorful rainbows and all this stuff. Before all this happened to me, I was a physics major. I went down the logical road of reality. Everything had a reason and everything had a purpose. And then crash. And I became this colorful little person with different things on a stone, not being able to move. All this other stuff became part of me. So when I looked at that mural, it was like, this is it. This is me. Okay, we found our location. And then they're like, if you didn't have an everyday outfit, or you didn't have the job that you have, or you were in school, what would you wear? And it was like, oh, this. They're like, well, you're wearing that. And I was like, oh, no. They're like, yes. And I was like, okay, well, I have always felt comfortable in corsets and leather leggings and all this stuff. And everybody's like, you haven't worn that in years. Are you sure you want to do this? And I was just like, yeah, because that's who I am. I've been hiding it for so long, but I want to show who's truly behind this. And when he took the shot, Melissa, and I came to see the shot, he took so many more. But that shot, it was me. It was like this powerful, like, I'm done taking your crap, chronic illness. We are definitely fighting against this. And it was just this badass pose, and I don't even know where it came from. And it was just like, I looked at Michelle looked at me, and he goes, this is it. And I was like, oh yes, it is. This is the one. I think we're done. And he's like, let me take some other shots. But when it came down to it, that's the shot we picked. And it was just like, what he told me to envision was, what face would you have against if chronic illness and everything you've been through was a person? Like, how would you look at it? And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, and I was like, well, I don't have a name for that person, but I know how it looks. I know what to get. And he goes, I want to see that look. And I was like, okay, you sure? I'm going to look really pissed. And he goes, I want to see it. And the shot that came out, what's this smirk? Like, I don't know how to describe it. And it was just like, that's me. I'm literally smirking at chronic illness and telling it to go F you every day. And I'm okay with that. That's the picture. And when they display the picture at Art Palm Beach, and it's now going to travel nationwide, it was inspiring to see all the people that had come before me and how they inspired me to put myself in that position. And it was mind-blowing. And I have to be very thankful for the Bold Beauty Project, to them being a stepping stone also to this personality that kind of came out of that picture. I felt new. I felt kind of like a badass on a motorcycle riding the train. I don't know, like, it was so different. And this badass on the motorcycle trying to go into the sunset with like chronic illness being behind it, beat the crap out of it. I don't know. It was just, that's what it looks like. And all my friends were like, that's you. You've come so long in such a long manner. And I was like, I don't see it, guys, but that picture was proof enough. And that was just like, okay, we're done. That's the picture for the rest of my life that I'm going to remember. And it became like, I don't know, like, I really want to print that picture out and just hold it in my wallet. And every time that I doubt myself, look at that picture and be like,
right, yeah, put it on like behind your desk or on your desk. Yeah. Remember like that affirmation and put that together. Everyone needs to check out that photo. Yes. The project release. Did you share it? You have it shared on the Facebook page?
Yes, or? I do. And they have this Bold Beauty Project has this, I guess, online social media platform advocacy program they're doing too. And if you want to be involved with that project, I would say, Melissa, you check it out too. Like, any walk of life, any disability, invisible or visible, check that program out. Bold Beauty will empower you to just show who you really are through this journey. And even though you may not see that warrior behind you, they will surely show you that it's there.
That's awesome. I need my purple hair back. I've been feeling a little less like punk rock.
I love your purple hair. I wish I could pull it off, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe a highlight but see, you don't need to. That picture like says it all. It was like, whoa, that is awesome.
Yeah. I have to give a shout out to Misha, the makeup artist, because I'm not one to wear a lot of makeup. I do eyeliner, eyeshadow, barely anything. To be quite honest, one of my best friends was like the amazing makeup artist. Me, I'm like, palette. What is a palette? Oh, okay, this is a palette. It got to the point where I didn't know anything about makeup, and she showed me, and then Nisha came around and put all that on my face, and I was just like, oh, that's how that works. Oh. I was doing that wrong.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not even going to touch that because no, makeup and hair was not my thing. Science was my jam. So I don't know what to.
I embraced the natural curly hair look and tried to embrace the natural look here, especially through COVID. I don't have the energy to put a full face on. But it was just like when I saw like all the stuff come together for that picture, it was pretty badass. And my hair never looks that good, mind you. And that day it looked like on point. And I'm just like, I guess this is working out today. We're just gonna go with the flow. But
what an amazing experience. And I know you're also in school. So I've seen, well, I have to ask you about Gizmo because as a person who's all into Gizmo a little bit, but also like how you're balancing school. What classes are you taking?
Yeah, well, when I was pre-chronic illness, if you want to put it like the normal, quote unquote me, I was in the medical field, medical management, for 15 plus years. I had started doing it since I was in high school. So when they tell you that you can't go back to the job that you did, in some cases, people are so distraught and so, angered about the situation. In my situation, I was relieved because I was working for doctors, not for the patient side, but for the money side. Everything was about how much a patient can be exploited, how much things can be added to their bill, how many things can be billed up to an insurance to get more money. And personally, my morals were being violated on a daily basis. And as much as I wanted to help the patient, I couldn't. And I was miserable. So when disability hit and I had to look at jobs, I knew for a fact that I was not going back into that field. And medically, I couldn't. It's exhausting. You're on your feet all day. You can't stretch like I'm doing right now in my chair. You can't do certain things. And I went and I started doing research on what I could be doing, and what kept popping up was graphic design. I've always been an artist. Family pressures kind of guided me the medical route. If it were up to me, I would probably gone to New York and been like the person that spray paints on murals for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't have mattered. So coming back and looking at my life, it was just like, I'm done making everybody else happy. I'm going to make myself happy. Let's do this route. Let's make the most out of it. And we started with graphic design. I'm on my second semester. It's not easy. I finally took the accommodations. I finally gave in and said, okay, I am disabled. I do need his accommodations. I might need a little extra time to move around. I might need to get up in the middle of class and look like a dork and do all these stretches and yoga poses and stuff like that. But I'm still going to be in school. And I might need to get up and take a break. I may not be always sitting down. And for the disability office, and everybody was accommodating. They're like, yeah, we're good. We can do that. We can do this. We can do the books there. We can add a screen to your computer. We can. And I was just like, oh, so why didn't I do this before? And it was just kind of eye-opening that the accommodations are there if you fight for them, if you voice out your concerns. And Laura Pantoris, who is our speaker for my support group meeting this Saturday, who is the person who guided me to do this and how to do it.
Awesome.
So I'm imparting the knowledge to the rest of the people that I'm supporting. Like, I want to bring her on board and be like, show them, please, like, show them everything.
Yes.
Because I want other people to feel as supported in school or at work, that they can voice their accommodations without not feeling like they can get fired, or without feeling like they can be looked upon kind of weirdly, which does happen a lot. So this is the talk for this weekend is all about that. And balancing school, organization, and personal life, I am nowhere good at it. I'm a work in progress. I still am a perfectionist from everything, and I still feel like sometimes I have to prove my body wrong regarding, like, okay, my body's saying you're tired, you're done, and I'm going, no, one more cup of coffee, I can finish this. And then the next day it's like I'm flat out like a little snowman. I can't move. I shouldn't have done that. So it's like a work in progress. Like, I need to show myself how to say no, and I'm not very good at it because I still want to be quote unquote normal. I still want to be able to be a person that makes a change or makes a difference. And I would say
you love what you do as well, so
yeah,
you're
but
passionate for it. I know you can't stop. Like, you go and go. You really love it. So
yeah, but a life coach, or if you can have anybody at school, like if you're going back to school and your school offers that capability of a life coach or somebody that can help you with your schedule, take it, do it. Someone else is going to be able to tell you, hey, you've gone too far. You need to rest. And it's better than you yourself trying it. It's sometimes coming up from other people in a good way, like tactfully, can be, if you're told that, you're able to listen to it better. And I would say, like, having somebody from school tell you, hey, you're overdoing your schedule. I don't recommend that you take 3 classes. I'm coming 4 or 5. Take 3, take 2. And you kind of have to listen because they know better at that point what somebody in your condition could be experiencing. So Laura, when she came on board, she was like, you know, I don't agree with you going full time. I want you to go part time. I don't agree with you taking 5 classes. I don't agree with you taking all these labs in one day. Spread it out. So it's good to hear that advice and listen to it. It's not easy to listen to it, but I would recommend, yeah. It's I don't know why, but 80% of us in the support group feel like we have to be highly productive, even though we're not. And it's something that I fight with. It's something that they fight with. It's something that we, for some reason, we feel like we have to prove to the other people around us that we're not sick. And I fight with that on a daily basis. And I know every warrior kind of battles with it. But if we don't listen to our body, we're going to feel that flare 2-3 days from now, or even the next day. That fatigue is going to settle in and you're not going to be functional for a good week. And then there's other warriors that don't have a choice. They are in a full-time job. They're the main provider for their family. They don't want to be homeless. They have all these obligations and they don't have that luxury, and they have to consistently keep pushing themselves. And they don't ask for the accommodations from the fear of losing their job. They don't say how they truly feel because they don't want other people thinking that they're using their disability or their illness as a crutch. So my advice for those people is, if your organization or the job that you have cannot support that, but you have to stay in it for now until you find something better, know that there is other things that you can do and other things that you can find. Build a plan. Start putting it into effect. Don't try taking on the world right now. Do it in steps and get out and be happy and find something that accommodates to you. Because if you don't, you'll end up in a hospital bed and you're replaceable to these people. You don't matter. They can hire somebody off of Indeed and LinkedIn in three to 4 days after you're gone. But your body's not replaceable. You're not replaceable. You matter.
And it's a hard thing for other people, especially when you have to keep going, like you said, with the jobs. And I know that I think we have figured out our next video series for a roundtable discussion too, because it's important that we talk about these things and help the community with what's going on, especially with school, because you hit something close to where we kind of started with Support Fibro is helping. So I know when I go on tour, I actually go to the college campuses and try to meet with someone from the disability service to give them information that fibromyalgia is part of this. So please, if someone's diagnosed, please don't discount it. And just the education piece, but it's so important because you need to just, and how to give people that bravery to come forward. And employment is a whole nother beast on having it.
It's, one thing that I have to notice is that, and I have to say that in this sense, and please don't take me out of context, I like COVID for this reason, because it showed everybody that has been in our situation that needed those accommodations and were not provided them, that we could have had them this whole entire time. The virtual working, maybe the modified schedule or modified hours, it was there. We just didn't have the push to actually make it happen. And now that it's out of the bag, they can't put it back in. So now we have to be strong enough to say, well, during COVID situation, you had this capability. I was fully functional and a good employee while this was going on. I want to continue that route instead of coming back to the office. And I think that conversation needs to be had with every single employer out there. And then with schools, I love the fact that my local school has the situation or has the department that they had, but not every school does.
Right.
We have one of our board members, Johnny Maloney, works for Palm Beach State. He is the disability coordinator and the advisor to these people. So he is able to tell other people at the college, no, this exists, this is happening, this needs to be the modification this person needs. He can go on these websites and tell you, hey, that pad needs to be bought, this needs to be done, if the student wants to come to this classroom, it needs to be done. And he voices those concerns out, and he's part of our organization, and he is vocal about what we need. Awesome. That right there, I wish every college had a Johnny, but we don't. Not everybody is so lucky. And that is where tying in with other nonprofits like you or Lumens for Lupus, or we have another organization, another lupus organization locally, Loopy Girl, where she ties into all these nonprofits. I tie into all these nonprofits. We want to make sure that just because it's not part of our nonprofit, we can refer you to somebody that can help that happen for you or help you guide you there. And that's what I love, this stuff, like this partnership that we have going, Melissa, even talking. We need this to be able to go to colleges, all these nonprofits that have the same goal, and go to colleges together and sit there in the same room and be from a different nonprofit, but be able to be the same goal, like accommodations.
We have the same goal, and we don't want people to drop out of school or think they can't go to school or not get these accommodations. I mean, even when I was trying to get through college, the worst part of it was not being able to get a placard. I could not get up those steps at UCLA, those notorious steps you see in all the movies. And I was like, by the time I tried, I was done. I didn't make it to class, but trying to help people get through that. And when doctors don't want to sign off on that, it's really hard. And I don't want people to drop out of school, even high school, because they can't do PE and all that stuff. That's heartbreaking to me.
We have another warrior who's a mom, and her son has Crohn's and arthritis. and he's on a 504 plan, and the school keeps violating it at every step or every turn. And she, as mama bear, and she herself is a chronic illness warrior, is constantly fighting the system. And when they were talking about the fact that he has missed class, and now that everybody's virtual, she's like, you could have done this for my son instead of having him miss class. He could have been in school this whole time. So this conversation is going to be had after COVID. And it's the one positive thing I would have to say, except for the community involvement that you see now. Like, all these communities are coming together, all these nonprofits are working together. Instead of separately or competing for advocacy. It's great to see that positivity come out of this situation, and knowing that if we start going back to normal, because after the situation, it's not normal. We're going to have to adjust, and knowing that we have that support from other organizations saying, I'm on the same track as you. We can do this. We can move forward, and let's fight for the same thing. And I think that that's where my mission stands with IMW. We want to make the invisible illnesses visible. No longer live with that, behind that shadow. No longer live behind no acknowledgement or acceptance. We are people. We are human beings that exist. And some people, I have to say, are super talented, but can't progress because of the lack of accommodations or the lack of awareness. And it needs to stop. Like, all this wasted talent from all these warriors and all these people that have illnesses that are invisible. It's frustrating to me to see that talent go to waste. And that's what I love, seeing other advocates go back to school, even though that they have tried in the past, and now it's easier for them because they have their voice. There is the accommodations, and knowing that they can go back and get their goals finished and be part of, like, society and feel validated. It's wonderful. But the conversation needs to continue. It cannot stop, and it cannot go away just because COVID may go away. It has to continue. This is a year that, the ADA, right in the middle of this crisis, was turning like 50 years old. ADA is so young still comparing to all these other organizations. And I feel like, the Disabilities Act needs work. It needs to be updated. And we have people that are applying for disability that are being based on their accommodations from 20, 30 years ago. These books haven't been updated. Like, fibromyalgia has changed. It gets worse. Arthritis has changed. That may not apply anymore. I don't have that, but I still have the illness, and all these books and medical books and disabled books and all these regulations have not been updated. And that's what I love, that you're part of the ECHO project and all this research going on and all this going on. And I love that we're all partnering up and getting to know each other. And I can't say how appreciative I am of it.
Well, and supporting each other, it's important. I mean, like you said, going through this is a lonely phase. Like, if you're all by yourself or you feel like you're alone on an island trying to figure stuff out. And we want to prevent that, not only for the patient community, but our advocates and community leaders.
Yeah, and I think that the more we become aware and more doctors are aware of this situation, or more people are aware that this exists, there will be a sense of unity, a unity that needs to cohabit with advocacy. It needs to be a sense of community, no competition, community.
Exactly, community. I am so thrilled that we got a chance to interview you. If any other people listening, please interview Michelle more. She needs to do this more, because you need to do this more. I want to hear more. That I know there's podcasts out there. So before we close out, where can our Support Fibro friends find you on social media, and how can they connect with you?
Of course. So we have a Facebook page, and it's the Invisible Me Warriors PBC, and then the same acronym for Instagram. A lot of our links and everything, our Facebook page and Instagram are a bit more updated than our website. Our website right now, it's a work in progress. We went through a rebranding this year, trying to bring the community together in a different way. And so we're still building that website, but the action has not stopped. So our Facebook page and our Instagram page and our Twitter page all can be updated. And our Twitter is IMW Advocates. Our Instagram is Invisible Me Warrior. The Invisible Me Warriors PBC. You can look us up. I don't know if I can share the link with you, Melissa. I'm trying to find one right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to share the Zoom link with everyone because you have the virtual session this weekend that we were talking about. And I'll make sure to put all the links in the discussion description for the video.
Okay, awesome. We have a support group every third Saturday of the month that brings together all our warriors nationwide virtually. We have a speaker series going on for the past almost 2 years now. Wow. Right now it's topics that are brought up by our warriors. So it's not a topic that is just picked out of a hat. It's what we hear from you, what the support you need. We're looking for speakers every day. Every time that a topic comes up, we start recruiting. Our board starts looking for people. We want to make sure that what you hear is stuff that you want to hear. We also have Coffee with a Spoonie every 2 weeks. So you can reach out to any one of our board members through Facebook or Instagram. And if you need a one-on-one session, kind of like what we're doing now, just to be heard out, vent, ask for resources, ask for help, we can do that too. It's called Phone and Advocate, or now we do Zoom and Advocate. But we used to sit down for coffee a lot more with everybody just to get an in-person feel. That kind of has changed a little bit, but the mission has not. So we're still going to have the Coffee with the Spoonies. We're just going to be doing it from home with our own personal mugs. And we like to see everybody's taste in, I would say, beverage to kind of get through it. It's all about just making sure that you're heard, unified. And you may not have to speak. You may not feel comfortable speaking right now, but you can sit there and understand that you're not alone. You have community.
And that's a good reminder to everyone. You do have a community. You're not in this fight alone. I so appreciate your time. We're going to have you back. You're welcome back anytime on our page. And I'll be attending on Saturday, so my face will be there in the Zoom call. And looking forward to seeing everyone there too.
Yes, we're actually starting. We're in the progress of starting it. It's a series called Empowered Spoonies. That is our hashtag for IMW, is called Empowered Spoonies. We're looking for any type of warrior, any type of story, and we're doing like this podcast type thing that might actually convert into a podcast. We don't know, but we want to empower everybody to say their story and to share their story. So we're doing that on Wednesdays, starting in June. We're doing interviews. So if you know anybody that would like to share their story and empower others, our Empowered Spoonie series starts in the month of June.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so good. You're leading the way with stories, and that's perfect. I'm excited.
Our board is compromised of. Right now, we have a healthcare facilitator. We have Johnny Maloney, who's a CRC, who's does rehabilitation and disability accommodations. We have Carly Lupo, who is a therapist and a social worker. We have Susan Freeling, who's in the, I would say the healthcare field and the academy side and all of that. So we're trying to build a board that is full of warriors that are all walks of life, so we can kind of hit every single side of IMW.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much. We'll be back tomorrow for a live with Margaret from Frequently Fibro. We appreciate Michelle. Please share this video with all your friends. They need to hear from Michelle and connect with her page. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye.